Okay, now on the back of your notes, it just has 9 boxes listed, and it just says factor completely. So when it says completely, that means you've got to check for your greatest common factor, and you've got to break that trinomial down. So we're just now getting started, so you'll get the hang of it. I'm going to go through a couple of them with you until you get the hang of it. And remember, there is only one correct way to do this. There is only one way to figure out the puzzle. So here we go. Number 1, x squared plus 8x plus 15. That is a trinomial. It's got 3 terms, and the a is 1. So we are just going to go ahead and break it down into 2 binomials. Now this is the part you all don't like. This is the part where you have to guess and check. So the first thing I would like for you to do is to list your factors of 1. Well, of course, it's just 1 and 1. And then your factors of 15. You've got 1 and 15, and you've got 3 and 5. Okay, so since this is a factor of 1 right here, we are going to say an x and an x because that is going to get our first loop. Now, I really highly recommend you do this with a pencil. Of course, I'm doing it with a pen right now. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to a pencil because I am guessing and checking. I'm going to need an eraser. Sometimes doing it with a dry erase board is the way to go. Okay, so I'm going to just start guessing and checking. 1 and 15 is going to give me 15 on this end, but when I check it here and here, and I'm trying to get 8 in the middle, that obviously does not work. Okay, so what we're going to have to do, we would now switch them. So I have to erase all of this out, and I would put the 15 and the 1 over here, and it would be 15x and 1x. And there is no possible way that I can get 8 in the middle. So the next thing that I would do, and you all probably already realize this, okay, is that I would go ahead and put the 3 and the 5 in here. So now notice I'm not putting any signs in yet. So I have a 3x and I have a 5x. Now, if I notice that this 15 is positive, then both of these signs here must be the same. Well, since 8 is positive, it is a plus, plus. Therefore, the 3 is an x plus 3, and this plus is an x plus 5. So if I now rewrite this out, x plus 3 times x plus 5, I now have that correctly factored. It will not break down anymore. Now, this and this are being multiplied together. These are called your factors. Now, keep in mind what we just did. We just guessed and checked. 15 is the C, 8 is the B, 3 and 5, both positive, are the only ones to make that puzzle work. That is called factoring. Now, everything was positive. So now let's go to number 2 and let's check out what happens when the signs start changing. So, number 2 is x squared minus 2x minus 24. Now notice the signs are different, but I like to just do it straight up. I don't worry about the signs until I get my numbers working out. Okay, so factors of 1, of course, was x and x. That's why today is a little bit easier. Those are 1s. Now, 24's got quite a few. We have 1 and 24. We have 2 and 12. We have 3 and 8. And we have 4 and 6. So we have a lot of guessing and checking. Technically, we have 8 guess and checks because these numbers could be in different orders. And I should say, you can have x plus 5 first or x plus 3 first. Commutative property doesn't matter which way you put them. Okay, so over here, okay, we need 2 numbers that give us negative 24, but then add and give us negative 2. So just to distribute or to illustrate what we're trying to do, think back to your x's and o's. So negative 24 and negative 2, okay? 1 and 24 would not work. 2 and 12 would not work. 3 and 8, is there any way 3 and 8 will give me 2? No. So 4 and 6 will give me 2, but the question is how? Well, 6 is the biggest number, therefore 6 must carry the sign. Now, if you look at this right here, these are the numbers that you're going to use to factor. Now, I'm going to put the 4 in here, the -6 in here, and the 4 here. But I'm always going to use George to check it. So x times x is x squared. Positive 4 times -6 is -24. Now, when I check George's little mouth and chin, I get 4x minus 6x. Does that give me -2? Yes. Therefore, the answer, the two factors are x plus 4 and x minus 6. Those are your factors. So that trinomial breaks down into these two binomials. Okay, now what I would like for you to do is I would like for you to try number 3. It is x squared minus 6x minus 27. I would like for you to pause the video and try that one on your own. Okay, hopefully you figured out that the factors of 27, 9 and 3 were the winners. So if I do this and this, I get x squared and 27, but I've got to worry about a -27. These will be different. 6 is negative, so that means 9, which is the bigger number, takes the sign. 3 is the smaller number. It must be a different sign. So I get -6, and a negative and a positive makes a -27. Okay? Now, I would like for you to try 4 and 5 next, because these two are very common to get mixed up. So here is number 4. It is x squared minus 5x plus 6 and x squared minus 5x minus 6. Now notice how they're almost the same, but this 6 is positive, this 6 is negative. These are game changers. So pause the video, see what happens. Okay, I have everything set up ready to go. Here are my factors of 6, so on both problems, and I've actually drew my x's and O's down here. So this is a positive 6, this is a -5, this is a -6, this is a -5. So how can that happen? Well, I hope you guessed and checked in order to find that a -2 and a -3, okay, will give me a -5 at the same time giving me a 6. So this one should be x minus 2 and x minus 3. Now on the other hand over here, 2 and 3 failed us, so we cannot use 2 and 3. We could not use 1 and 6 over here, but over here 6 and 1, okay, will actually give me a -6 if I make the 6 negative, and the 5 will be negative, okay? So here is x minus 6 and x plus 1. Now, those two problems seem to trick a lot of people because they're just happy that it's working out. But here is an example of how you must check everything. Now, remember, you did these by yourself. If you have this written down or this written down, it is totally okay by the commutative property, as long as you have these factors for this problem and these factors for this problem. Okay, now I would like for you to look at question 6. This one is x squared plus 3x plus 1. So we go ahead and we start and we try to break it down, and we have 1 and 1 here, which is nice, but here we have 1 and 1. So here, let's go ahead and try to figure this one out. There's only factors of 1 that will make 1 and 1, but there's no way to get 1. So what is going on with question 6? Well, it's like a fraction. Let's say 5/8. 5/8 is already reduced, so we can't do anything else to it. Well, that's what's happening to question 6. Not everything will factor, so this trinomial will not factor, okay? So, we consider this to be a prime trinomial if they will not factor. Now, these here can make our life a little bit difficult because we're trying to guess and check, guess and check, guess and check. Sometimes we give up without guessing and checking enough. So over here, clearly 1, there's nothing you can multiply to give you a, and I don't know why I put a 1 there. That's a 3. That's a mess up on my part. But still, there's no way to get this 3 here. So sorry about that. So it will not factor. Remember, C goes here, B goes here. I totally messed that one up. But it will not factor. Now, I'm going to refer back to this piece of paper, which you all will receive. This is your little factoring man. He looks like a little robot. And always look at the top of this flow chart. It says first find and remove the greatest common factor. Now we're going to look at how that comes into play with a trinomial with guessing and checking. When you remove the greatest common factor first, you are really reducing the problem down to make it easier. So now let's zoom in on number 7 and let's look at this problem. 2x squared minus 10x minus 48. Now you can tell that this one changed from the title of our notes. The title of our notes was called 12-6 factoring. A is 1. So this is like our day 2 of this, so we don't want to get too far ahead. You can clearly see here A is a 2. Well, that can cause issues. The numbers are bigger. You have a 2, a 10, and a 48. So this is where we revert back to what we did yesterday, removing the greatest common factor. So all of these have a 2 in common. So you take the 2 out and you get x squared minus 5x minus 24. Now if you'll notice now, you now have a greatest common factor on the outside and a trinomial on this back part. Well, it's a trinomial with a 1. You must guess and check to see if it will factor any more. So we're going to write down our 2 binomials, and we are going to guess and check the factors of 24. We have 1 and 24. We have 2 and 12. We have 3 and 8. And we have 4 and 6. Now, these are still kind of small, so I realize you can do this mental math. You, even if you can do it mental math and you can see it, you would not have to do this step. But let's brainstorm. I need a negative 24 for the C, and I need a negative 5 for the B. So which of these sets of factors could give me a 5? Well, I focus in on the 3 and the 8. So if I put the 3 and the 8 in there. 8 needs to carry the sign because of the negative 5. So we have guessed and checked. This is now working. So x plus 3 and x minus 8. And let's just go ahead and check this. This is x squared. This is negative 24. This is 3x. And this is negative 8x. So am I getting a negative 5 in the middle? I am. So the final answer is 2 times x plus 3 times x minus 8. And remember, these can be reversed. And you must keep the 2 out there because we have to have the 2 multiplying back in to give us the original problem. Okay, so you try number 8. 4x squared minus 12x minus 40. Now look at it. Notice the A is a 4. Today's lesson, we want that to be a 1. So pause the video and try that one. Okay, I hope that you realized that you could take a 4 out of that. And I hope that you realized you got x squared minus 3x minus 10 as your trinomial. And then when you factor it, you get that for your answer. You get a negative 5x in the middle and a 2x here. Okay, let's wrap this up with question 9. You have a 3x squared plus 27x plus 42. Pause the video, try that one. Okay, look at my work. We have a 3 on the outside, an x squared plus 9x plus 14. 14 broke down with a 7 and a 2. They both add to give me 9. There it is. So that concludes this lesson with factoring a trinomial when a